It's Joe P.
Hello.
How are you, man?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. You are from New Jersey, correct?
Yes, New Jersey. Yep, that's
Born
it.
and raised?
Yeah, so North Jersey, I was born and raised kind of, and then I've moved to Central Jersey, which is the big debate if there is a Central Jersey, but there is. And so Asbury Park to me is like right there.
And when you think of New Jersey, you think of Bon Jovi, you think of Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, you did a cover of a Springsteen song on your latest EP, right?
Yeah. I just, I had to do this, it's weird. I'll get a lot of emails now from my manager Pergo, and it's just like, hey, you need to like do these 3 songs for this thing and make a video of it. And okay. So I do, 2 originals, and I did a cover, and one of them I just happened to do with Springsteen. And it was literally like, for whatever this thing was for, it wasn't that crazy where I had to really record it very well. And I have all the stuff to do that. So I just set up a microphone, like an SM57. I set it up like 10 feet in front of me or whatever, and just played the song. And I really liked how it came out.
Yeah.
So when it came time, and that was just on YouTube. And then when it came time to make the track list and everything, I was like, let me just throw that on there. So the recording on the EP is literally just like this funny recording I threw on there. And
it's a raw piece of work.
Raw. So you can hear, and so there's not like an isolated guitar to vocal. So like it's just a microphone, and I did my best to stand in the right position.
Yeah.
So it was kind of funny. But
when did you start making music? How young?
I don't know. I think it was like I was probably doing it for fun. I always say I started and it was just a toy. Like the guitar was just, I was playing with Legos and Hot Wheels and whatever. And then there was a guitar. And I think that's what tricked me into getting into music was like, oh, like this is just fun to do. I didn't think of it as like this thing I have to work at and practice yet, because that's the funny part about it. That can kind of like get people out of it when you're like older or whatever, where people get into guitar and they give up because they're like, I just didn't have time, and like I don't want to practice every day,
Yeah.
When you're little, you don't know what that is. You're just like, oh, this is great.
This is cool.
It's a video game. So I was probably like, 6 or 7 when I started doing it like for, as a toy. And then I think high school was the first time I was like, or middle school really. I remember the 8th grade talent show was my first like show.
Oh.
And it was like I played like Back in Black. I played it, like they made me last minute start with the Star Spangled Banner. They're like, will you play that real quick at the beginning of the whole show? And it's my first show. So there's a video of it somewhere and I'm just terrified. But
to look that up.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So, I started that, I would say around like 8th grade where I was like doing it, and then I saw like a reaction from people where it was like, oh, that's cool. When you're that little, that's like fun. That's fun when like people in your grade are like excited about it. So, and then I just started doing it more seriously. Went to college at Berkeley for 1 year in Boston, which is what everyone does. Apparently that goes there. You only go for a year. And then you realize, oh, I don't need to spend this much money per year to write songs. Like,
right.
You know what I mean? It's like I'm probably going to be losing money if I keep doing this. So might as well stop and just start trying to pursue it. And that's when I moved to like Central Jersey and started like just living in an apartment and like playing shows on the shore.
Were you in a band or were you doing your own thing?
I was in a band prior to just being me right now called Deal Casino. And it was like, we started that band in like, 8th grade kind of thing, when you're young enough where, again, no one understands anything. It's just fun. And we did that for a while. And then like the pandemic was the beginning of like, that's when it ended. So it was like the pandemic hit, that band ended.
Because you couldn't get together?
Yeah, it was like we couldn't get together, but it was more just like, there was something about that where that world kind of like stripped you of your like distractions. Like you couldn't be like, oh, I'll do this, I'll do that. It was like, you have to really face yourself in that moment. And for me, I was like, oh, nothing's changed. I get to just stay in my basement and write songs. Yeah. Whatever. It's almost better. Like no one's hitting me up to go to the beach and like do normal things. I'm not a freak anymore. This is great. But everyone else, like, if you're the drummer, it's like, well, what do I do? It's like, oh yeah, I mean, I get, there's no more shows. Like, what do I do? I'm the bass guy. Where do I play?
So in your case, the pandemic really, it didn't end the band for you. It sort of started the solo process.
Yeah. The band kind of crumbled a little bit, and then it was like, wasn't enough left to salvage anything. And then it was kind of like, I decided in that moment, like, I'm going to just like push off and go now. Like, I got to keep trying this thing. So yeah, it was like the end of something and the beginning of something else. Really weird.
You've been on this meteoric rise.
Yes.
For a couple of years now.
Yeah, I think it's because like the band thing was so much effort that when it ended, it was like, dude, start over? Like, do it again? Like, it was just like, someone knocking down a Lego set that you built and being like, I don't want to do that again. It's like So, rather than that, it's like, let me build something else. So that's kind of how I started viewing it. I was like, I'm not going to do the same things again. I'm going to just do this a little more carelessly in a good way. But like I kind of let go more, and it ended up working better. And I was like, how does that work? I hate that.
Yeah. Were you ready for the success?
Yeah, I think so. I think like, I'm definitely always ready for that. That part of it's great. I think because all of it's based in like truly working so super hard. Like I do feel like everything, if anything happens, I'm not like, oh, okay, I'm not ready for that. I don't deserve. I'm very like, I practice a lot in my bedroom. Like, let me book that show. So everything that happens like that, it's amazing and mind blowing and all these things. But at the same time, like, it's what you want. Yeah. Like at this recent tour I've been on, it's the first time there's been so many people showing up, and like for me and all this stuff. And they come up, I drove 6 hours from Florida, all this stuff. And it's funny because that's the goal. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm like, why would you do that? Like, you're crazy. No, I'm sorry. And they're like, what do you mean? So it's weird because it's all the stuff you want. And then once it hits you, you're kind of like, oh, I don't even, like, you care about those things. But really, it's truly the reason you do it is like because you love it. Yeah. So it's a weird, bittersweet type thing where you're like, I don't know. You've produced some pretty great music videos as well. We were talking about an earlier one with the human bodysuits, which was pretty amazing. But I also heard that you're working on a horror film. Yes. Is that right? Yeah, the horror movie. It's done finally. Oh, it's out there. It's just on YouTube called If We Run. But it's it's like. It was just one of those things where I was bored of making the music videos because there's something about a music video where you are kind of restricted and you can only do so much. Yeah. And it's good, but it's like 3 minutes of like some lip syncing and, or if you're not going to do the lip syncing thing, it's a cool idea, but it's still so short lived. You can't really go for something in a big way. So we were like, what if we just took the money we would usually get for the 4 videos for this EP and just put it all into one movie, and I'll still play 4 songs live within the movie so you could get your 4 music videos that you could edit into 4 singular videos, which we're doing, or you get the whole movie. So it's great because there's like a soundtrack that I think will come from it, and there's the live versions of the songs, and they're cut into the movie in a way where it still makes sense within the plot of the movie. So the girl runs into the house away from the killer, and all of a sudden there's a TV on, and there's like a Tonight Show host, and he's like, ladies and gentlemen, da-da-da, and it's me playing like the first song on the EP. And
that's very clever.
So it lives in the world a little bit still. Yeah. It's not so just like cut away from the movie, cut back to the movie. But yeah, it was, I became friendly with Michael Gandolfini, and he, during the pandemic, and I always wanted to put him in a music video because he's a great actor, but there was never a video that was like, it didn't kind of like have enough for him, I think, to like chew on, that I was like, I'm not even going to tell him about these. And then this movie, I was like, this is perfect. It's like 30 minutes. I'll get him in for a day. And he dies first because I just wanted to get him in and out. I didn't want to ask too much of his time. But then he ended up being extremely hands-on and coming back for all the reshoot days and just holding lights and having fun. But yeah, it was like it was the most fun I've ever had, like creating something, because it was just so, the movie or film world is so just like, so much goes into it. Like music is so easy. It's not even funny. Like I said, I recorded that song with one microphone. Yeah. Stuff like that doesn't really exist in the film world. Even if you do something and like, oh yeah, we shot that real quick without a light because we didn't have time. It's like, yeah, but what about all the Foley for all the footsteps, the film scoring, the coloring? Like there's so much goes into it, even when it's the bare minimum. Do you have a film background, or did the making music and making music videos get you into the Definitely. So yeah, my friend Tony, who plays bass in the band, who isn't really a bassist, he always says he's an actor, like playing bass essentially, because he's a director. He doesn't do music in a real way like that. Yeah. I've done every video you've ever seen. My band, me, whatever, it's just always been him, just me and him essentially. So yeah, it's like I got into film like through him out of necessity of like, it's like how I got into recording. I got really into recording out of necessity of like, okay, I've done the thing where you go to the studio and there's a guy who just hits record and sets up all the mics for you. And then the end result I'm not happy with because I let go of so much control of it because I didn't know anything about it. Like, you go to the doctor, I don't know what to tell him to do, Right. So it's which can be good sometimes because you get a fresh kind of perspective, which could help. But a lot of times I found that you go to a studio, there's a engineer, and then all of a sudden, okay, you give up that control. Then there's a producer maybe. He's telling you what notes to play and change this, try this. And then you have a mixing engineer when it's all done who puts it together in a certain way and mixes it. And then there's a mastering engineer. And by the time you get it back, there's no way it can be the thing that you heard in your head. You know what I mean? It's just so hard to do that. So I just personally learned how to do it so that I could keep that part as close as I could to my own process and hands-on. And then with music videos, it was kind of the same thing where I was just like got so into it that by the end of it, you know, I don't think I could pick up a camera and do much. But as far as just understanding how it works and like idea man type stuff, I got deep into that. And then with the movie stuff, it was me and Tony it was like a dream. Like, we get to do this. This is great. Because you do need a certain amount of money. And it wasn't a lot of money, but you need a certain you got to hit a certain bar in order to like get someone there to hold a light up. You know what I mean? Like we never had that. It was always me holding the light, but I'm in the video and it's like, oh, like we really need help. Like this is getting crazy, but so it's fun.
So what's next for you then? I know the EP was out in October, right? So do we have more music coming?
Yeah. I mean, there's so much. Yeah. There's so much music always coming. I'm not sure exactly how or when it's being released or anything like that, but I mean, I work in terms of very like, just kind of like, get a song done, record it, it's done, whatever. I just try to do it quickly, and as you know, and kind of like accumulate songs, and then I can look at them and go, oh, those 10 fit together pretty well, you know, stuff like that. Just because in reality, there's not much time to like rent out a giant place and sit there for 2 months and like, these songs all belong together because they were created here, and that would be the ideal thing. But it's really like, I'll record a guitar part in my basement because it sounds good and I come up with the idea, and then Atlantic in Manhattan has a studio and it's like free to use because I'm on Atlantic, so I'm like, I'll just go there every day. So I've just been going there and no one uses it. I go there like every other day. I drive into the city. So my recording costs are whatever the like Lincoln Tunnel is basically. And so I do that and I go there like every other day, and I don't need an engineer or anything. So it's literally like I'm just in this amazing space. And I hit record, run into the room, play the drums, run back into the control room, you know, just crazy stuff. But so I'm always kind of just like accumulating, like, and then I'll go back 2 more days and do the vocals back at my house. And so it's a back and forth type thing that it goes quick, I think, because there aren't a lot of other people involved in it.
And you know what you want, and you're calling the shots. Yeah. So you can move through that quicker.
And it's easier to like, you know, there's things where it's like, you know, the world of emailing I've learned so much about, as far as like when you have a team of people, like so-and-so needs to email this, but they only have the login and this person isn't an admin. Like, you know, you can get so crazy. Yeah. So it's kind of nice being like, I have all the stems. Like for the movie, there was a cover of Hey Joe that I did. And last minute, like literally we're on tour in the van, no Wi-Fi in the middle of Nebraska. Last minute I get a call or whatever that's like, we can't do it. Like whatever, the Hendrix estate, you know, whatever. We're not allowed to do it. Yeah. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Why didn't anyone, you know, figure this out before? This stinks. So last minute, I took one of my own songs that wasn't used in the movie yet and like had the stems and kind of like made a remix version, whatever, and put it together to line up with the video. And like with whatever Wi-Fi hotspot on my phone I could get, sent it in. And like, that's what's in the movie now. But like, that's one of those things where like if another guy mixed it and recorded everything and I didn't have a hard drive of everything, we would have been, like, I don't know what we would have done. So I kind of just like that, like having hands on everything. And then, you know, that allows you to get work done so much quicker, you know? Yeah.
Joe P. Thanks for coming in, man.
Of course, man. Thank you. It's
great to meet you.
You too.